Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Beyond Max Q. I'm your host, Mollie Jahner. I am joined today by Christopher Voolaid, and he is so many things. I've had the pleasure of getting to know him a bit. He's an investor, a founder, a funder, a fundraiser across many industries, and also a very, very good salesperson, which I think is really at the heart of building relationships, of being a founder and a funder. And so with that, sir, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself a bit.
Yes, thank you. Pleasure. Pleasure is mine. I guess the salesperson kind of matches, but you can look at it as a networking angle as well, right? So I've always been fascinated with building relationships and having good circle and good contacts. So therefore, when I started my kind of career actually in States, I thought sales is more like just getting somebody to buy something, right? Knocking on doors, making a phone call, etc., etc. But then I quickly realized it's way more than that. And even today, I still think about how I was able to sell my partner or the mother of my child, which was like closing her 11 times on one midnight to come outside with me to just have a 5-minute talk and chat, which we ended up walking 1.5 hours and just talking and etc. Of course, you want things to evolve, but you're like, okay, should I want this to be more of a one-time transactional thing, or would I actually want to do this more relationship building? So that's always been the case. And yes, you're right. It requires exceptional patience, precision, and it does also a lot of endurance, which you can give compared to an athlete as well. So yeah, many hats, but I think that's why one of my most favorable things to network and build relationships with people and companies.
Well, then tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now, currently.
Well, currently I'm building out a family office arm. We've laid the structure and the thesis and everything, and thinking about whether so this is what I'm validating. So whether it should be just my own thingy, or should I accept somebody's, capital as well. Still in talks with a couple of guys and trying to seek out where the best match or best alignment is. I've done myself some things here and there, but currently I've been focusing on the advisory stuff as well. So we do with my partners, of course, we do due diligence, which is a 360-degree approach, which I think is super important for nowadays investors because there's so much technology involved in all the business aspects, even in shipping. And those old boring laundromat businesses, you still have the CRM systems and marketing angles and etc. So we look at technology, digital aspects. We're about to probably explore some human side of things as well. How can we vet the cap table and the investors the best way? We have an external partner. Can't say much right now, but they've been quite well or quite uh, established in this vertical. So we're trying to cover all the aspects, right? The due diligence parts, which then again emerges into M&A and buyouts and etc., which typically private equity firms or even family offices are more into, and sometimes another company if it's a more of a strategic or vertical fit, or even rarely, but still sometimes the case that makes sense with financially. And then some fundraising initiatives here and there, and but I mostly somehow end up doing some private placements or some private deals, etc., and structuring things together with my partner. So many hats, like I said, but they kind of all twine into each other, and it's just kind of works.
Well, I would love to kind of dig in a little bit on your fundraising, because I think a lot of founders will want to hear kind of how you approach that. What does that look like? And what does it really mean to interact with a VC? And I put that in quotes, but an investor.
Mm-hmm. Very good question. So what a VC is looking for, right? The founder always has to be kept in mind it's hard to do it because when you have never been a VC or an investor, not invested, and even though if you're a founder of company, first time founder, multiple founder, you're still investing time and energy and maybe some even capital to your company. But you're investing it in a different angle. You're investing, okay, how can I grow this? How can I sustain this? Build out the operations, scale the human capital, etc., etc. What an investor or VC is looking for typically depends on their mandate or depends on their strategy, because some are more venture studios and some are more growth and capital and some are more early stage, right? So what I've seen a lot of pre-stage VCs or even seed stage VCs, there's not a lot of data what you can analyze. So you really got to build trust, right? Which is meeting them, doing things. The best way to actually know the person or get to know a person is to either drink on them, which I don't advocate. But a cigar or a whiskey doesn't hurt. But then again, I would recommend or suggest doing sports together, because then when things get hard, you could really see what the person is or what they do and how they behave, right? So with VCs, it's the same story. You as a founder trying to fundraise for a VC, number one, do you have the narrative? Uh, is your business at least 1% different than any other thing? Secondly, you gotta look at the market opportunity. So if you're an let's say European company, compared to a United States startup, and let's say there's two competing companies that are doing exactly or similar thing as you do, but because this United States person maybe has a better network, or those VCs have better funding capabilities or bigger ticket sizes, and instead of you raising 3 million seed round, they raise 10 million or maybe 20 million. Think about it in that way, you're done in 3 years because the guy had more capital. The guy had more exposure, more visibility, better funding, marketing strategies. So you gotta be like really, really creative what you will do with this capital, how you will utilize it, and not just like, oh, we're gonna scale, we're gonna build the team out, we're gonna hire a bunch of people, we're gonna hire like, analysts, we're gonna hire like, I don't know, we're gonna take these guys, these guys, these guys. Rather have all the like strategic partnerships laid out so that you don't actually need the capital, but it helps to scale. And when an investor sees that you don't even care if you get their capital or not, they're like, oh, yeah, no, this is a good opportunity.
Yeah, the fear of missing out. I love that. Like almost like I mean, I don't need your help, but if you want to help, kind of an attitude. I think it's attractive because again, it shows that, hey, I already have traction and I'm doing this thing with or without you. And so then they want to jump on the bandwagon. I think that you've talked about in a previous call desperation on both sides and how that people just know. They can smell it.
Yeah. I mean, miles away.
Yes. Yes.
Miles away. Oh, I need capital because I'm doing this and I'm founding this. Well, great story. But what's your background? What you've done? Are you exceptional founder? Have you worked in a bigger corporation? Which oftentimes actually doesn't give a big advantage. Like, oh, I'm an ex-JP Morgan guy. So what did you do there? Right. So yeah. But it also gives you an advantage with the network and the leverage, right? You can always go to the JP guys because you've worked there, you know. And not always, but yeah. Anyways, and yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking of, because when you compare a founder to a founder, mostly on the paper it looks the same.
Uh-huh.
So it's also a mixture of the feeling or the intuition that you
Uh-huh.
give and how much do you align, because a lot of the times the VCs, they're money makers, they're deal makers, they're investing into hundreds of startups, and they're taking a bet on you, a swing. If they don't
Uh-huh.
swing, they're not going to make, but they're not like hoping you're going to be like the next unicorn, right?
Right.
Because they
Yes.
have already considered this in. Plus, really important thing. Read the contracts. Read the goddamn contracts.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit
Exercise.
more about that? Actually, I would love because you do this day in and day out. You're seeing contracts, you're building contracts. I mean, I would love for you to talk a little bit about red flags, things that
Oh,
just like right off the top, you're like, nope, that's a no go.
yeah, for sure. One thing that's been on LinkedIn a bit, but people don't kind of look into it. They're just like, oh, let me accept the money. Like they accept the money. Just, get them to a deal term and etc. Um, or term sheet, and then exercising rights. who has the liquidation preferences, right? You may build a 10 million ARR startup or even 100 million, but there are countless of many founders that start to build the next one because they understand they just have revenue. They've diluted their equity when they give up this position or they exit. And more often times, like most startups, they never make it to an IPO. And when they do get an IPO, that it's not that fancy. Oh, we made an IPO, but how much did you actually make happen? Yes, you can add it on to your resume and etc. We scaled the company, etc. So I'm a great founder. But then you have to start analyzing how much did you scale versus how much did the VCs and the other guys really scale it.
Right.
So these things are really important because what you want is a good fit with the investors that can help you to get to a next stage. Plus, but they can help you in this stage as well. Because if it's only like, oh, when you reach Series A, we're going to connect you with all the partners.
Right.
Why did I take you to the cap table? Because of the money? Yes, it's attractive. But then again, contracts, they are not your friends. They are sharks. So in order to be swimming with the sharks, you gotta become one. And you
Yes.
say, oh, I'm a really nice person. I like to keep everybody happy. Well, that's a freaking fantasy land, and this will not happen in business, unfortunately. Then again, there are exceptions.
Yes.
And when I see one, or it's rarely the case, I'm like, that's freaking cool. That's freaking cool. Like, there are some stories, but they're rare occasions. So anyways, and then second, possibly red flag that you gotta keep out is that your technology that you have or that you're utilizing. I'll compare ChatGPT. So the ChatGPT is on the verge of scale ups, right? Perplexity came along, it's cheaper, as they
Yep.
say, it's cheaper. We don't really know, right? But, from the publishing stuff, it's cheaper. Then Grok, a couple of days ago,
Right.
seems to be like thousands of times or a couple of thousand times more or capable than ChatGPT is. Now with ChatGPT is that it's really user friendly. It gives you a really good, kind of noise answers, but Grok is more like factual based, right? Some guys have said to me, I can't verify nor this, that it pulls more data or more factual data from the sources that you can't access yourself or that can't Google, right? So it can give you an advantages, but when you base your AI technology off that, the first question is, oh, is it good or not? That's not the question. The question is, can you scale as fast as they do? Because if you can't scale as fast as they do, why are you basing your AI models of that one? Right? You diversify, you have multiple things here and there, but when you're building a technology, can you patent it? If you can't patent it, is it really a technology or you're utilizing technology? Right? Second thing, if you can't have any patents or IP secured, why are you building a technology company? And even for factories, I had one deal on my table that needed a 40 million equity, total about 96 or 111 million was together with the grants and also with the debt. And the first question I asked them, they have great product, sustainability, recycling thingy, they're going to make a great impact, etc. Pre-sale agreements, everything's there. And I'm like, where's your IP? You're a factory. Where's your IP? Oh, what do you mean? Where's your patents for the product? Oh, your patent pending process. What is this BS? So, these questions that investors might ask.
No, I think those are great questions. I do think that there is some weight to having your patent pending, only because you've started that process. And I'm not sure how it is internationally, but in the US, like you can backdate, like
Yep.
from when you have that provisional patent. So you can actually, if you file a provisional patent, because then when you do go through the patent process, you can backdate it to when that provisional patent is potentially there. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice,
Yeah.
but
Same.
there is some weight to that. And so I will say that is good. But to your point, if you don't have IP, you're a factory. What are you're using other people's technology, which is fine. There's amazing business models around that, and they're
Yes.
actually in some cases even more sustainable than building new tech.
Yep.
But to your point, why would a VC invest in you to become a unicorn if you're just leveraging other people's tech?
Yeah. And like I said, there are exceptions, and depends what you want to do, right? If you want to aggregate or consolidate technology and build some kind of a, I don't know, HR CRM system where people could apply more faster, it's more connected. Hey, why do you need like patents, right? But if you're really doing like deep R&D stuff and really innovation, yeah, then it's another story. So not every case needs like 500 patents or something, so, or 10
Yes, yes.
patents.
No. Well, and I would love to talk to you. So you're a founder too. You're starting your own thing. You've worked with all the big players, and now you're, like you said, building this emerging, kind of investment conglomerate, for lack of a better word, officially. And I would love to have you talk a little bit about that, like being on the founding side as well. What has that been like?
So before that, actually, I founded, I was offered by an institution partnership and I declined. It was an insurance and an asset manager firm. And they had many, many, many relationships with really, really big institutions, um, uh, banks that have trillions under management or total in assets. And I declined. Funny. I saw an opportunity, but I declined because in the specific partnership proposal that they had no like successful case studies as well, which also gave me a leverage or upper hand. So eventually, I decided to try it out, take the risk, and I was like, okay, so I have some capital. Shall I put it in? Start recruiting people, hiring people, or go with the slower route, bootstrapping. So I only put in about 17 euros or something for the domain.
That.
Well, plus the founding costs of
Yes,
the
yes.
company entity and etc. And then I, started from scratch. And by 6 months, I had 15 people working with me. And we basically raised and sold money, sold insurance products. We sold savings products or raised money to like, bigger
Hmm.
institutional funds. And then went really well. I started scaling it, not with the human capital because I kept it between 10 and 15
Hmm.
and built out the marketing team, the back office, everything did quite well. But then the markets changed. And because of the markets changed a bit, I was anticipating it. But what I didn't anticipate is support from institutional level that
Hmm.
wanted to be really, really conservative, which is fine. But I said to them at the very end, I said, I'm working with you guys right now exclusively. That that means if you don't want to support me or you don't want to support this initiative and go, scale or go bigger or, even adapt to the market situation because I proposed term changes for the products, fee structure changes, everything, how to have better options, better customer service, technology stuff. They were building it out and I advised, didn't advise them on that, but I was like, hey, we gotta make it user friendly. We gotta make it really simple to use, right? And I said, okay, so I'm just, hey, if this is not moving forward despite of 10 different things that you want to do and work out the ways and have plans and everything, and then you gotta move on. So I tried to repivot to an insurtech company and had the CTO, had some technology aspects in it. I pitched to a VCs. I
Hmm.
pitched to a couple of strategic players, and one investor who actually had built a successful insurtech company said, it's actually not worth it. It's so complex, so regulatory, and you have good ideas and a good
Yeah.
way, and the CTO that you have is really decent, but maybe I can even utilize him in my own firm. And I'm like, I'm not against that. So yeah, but we're friends, and I took his advice and I said that, hey, yep, I don't need to, go into this field. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
No, it's
founder.
good. I mean, what I'm hearing you say, and I think that a founder struggle with this all the time, is there's so many different areas of opportunity you could do that you need to be really good about picking the one that fits exactly right. You could get distracted by, okay, I'm going to go do this one and I'm going to go do this one because you can do those things, but like, what's the one that I really am passionate about and
Mhm.
that I want to do? And I think that's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, pick your stuff, right? Not every battle is worth fighting, and that's been also my experience. That now I'm looking at opportunities. I always vet them through. I also ask advice from my partners. And even though they may not share sometimes they don't have the full context, or they can't share the full analysis of a deal or of a opportunity. I still try to think of all angles, the best case scenarios, the worst case scenarios, the midterm scenarios. What if I don't fulfill my expectations or promises or even minimum standards? Then what
Right.
I do then, and etc. Right? But you can't be this machine analytical thingy, because you're a human being, right?
Right.
Therefore you can use AI.
There you go. There you go. There you go. But only the newest edition of whichever one's scaling fastest.
Yeah, yeah,
I
but
love that.
I'm not saying that take his advice or something, but you can the speed of what quantum computing and the probability and like the analysis, how it's developing, because I think we thought back in the day that AI is gonna replace the simple jobs, like
Yes. Yeah.
robots are gonna clean the toilets, which is probably not the nicest thing to do, but then again necessary. It happens to be so that it starts to analyze for us, which
Right.
means if we don't use our brains correct way,
Yes. I saw that
creatively,
study
yeah,
about that actually, how like our brains are changing because of ChatGPT and all the different things that are happening. It's kind of crazy to think about. And to that end, because we do keep these fairly short, I wanted to wrap up in terms of asking you, what are you currently reading? Which is the question we ask everyone at the end.
very good question. I love to read. I read last year about 60, 70 books. Year before 40 something. So, one of my favorites has been Blue Ocean Strategy.
Okay.
So
I
really
have not heard
interesting.
that one yet. So that's good.
It's a bit older book, but
Okay.
it breaks down really well how blue oceans are being created, whatever industry it is. So
Okay.
red oceans are the established markets, blue oceans are the new markets, right? And like there is many case studies there, how they analyzed even beverage companies and etc. But what I'm currently reading is one of my partner's book. Attila taught marketing and data analysis book, which can give you an edge in some marketing branding ways, or even in due diligence, is called Hyper.
Okay.
So shout out to Attila.
Great. I
Yeah.
love that. If people want to connect with you, can they do that?
Yes, they can. Yeah, through LinkedIn is the best way. But I wanted to add on King of Capital.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember the founder, but it's written by, or the context is basically how Blackstone got started. So that's,
Oh, that's super interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
really
Yeah.
good book.
Add that one too.
Yes, one fourth of it I've read it, and the first 10 pages were so engaging. I'm like, wait a minute.
That's great.
This is how they built their relationships. And Blackstone started late compared to
Hmm.
KKR and other
Right.
guys. So
Right. I'm gonna have to get that one. I want to read it. That's fantastic. I love that. Thank you so much for your time today and your insights and sharing with us. And I'll definitely have people reach back out if they're interested in learning more about what you're building. And we appreciate it very much. Thank you for your time.
thank you. Thank you, Molly.